Welcome to the Kind Leader Podcast, where empathy meets action in the world of leadership. Your host, Gino Degregori, engages with innovators and seasoned professionals from diverse sectors, all demonstrating the power of leading with kindness. And now, your host, Gino Degregori.
Today's guest believes mental wellness isn't a side note in leadership, it's the foundation of it. Hi, I'm Gino Degregori, and welcome to the Kind Leader Podcast. Our guest today, Corey Hart, is a mental wellness strategist, startup mentor, and educator. He's Senior Director of Growth at Mentavi Health, scaling behavioral health innovation by 800%, leads startup Grand Rapids chapter, and named Global Chapter Director of the Year in 2021. Super excited to have Corey here with us. Has a different perspective than other guests that I have in the past, and especially when it comes through mental health, right? It's very important to us. So, Corey, welcome. And to kick us off, can you share a bit about your journey and what led you to your success here?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks very much for having me. It's great to be talking to you again. I'm just a deeply curious human who has found myself in really surprising situations that I wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it through by saying yes a lot. And also I look at something and I'm like, man, that looks like it's fun. I want to do that. And then I take the steps to do that. So that's led me through a couple different industries. I built a whole music career. I thought it'd be fun to be like a DJ, and that kind of spun out and started that at 16, and I ended up being like a festival DJ, traveling the planet, being on the radio.
Wow.
I was told at fourth grade, we did this cool thing where they test you, what kind of music instrument you're going to play in band. And I was the one student in the class where they pulled me aside and they're like, yeah, Corey, you're not going to play an instrument. There's no hope for you. Like you're not musical, kid. And I was like crushed because I really wanted to play the drums or the trombone. And they're like, nope. So I spent, everyone else got to play music in band and marching band and all these cool things and go to band camp and stuff. And I was in every single home economics or cooking or architecture, interior design, like any kind of elective.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, that's what really helped broaden my vision on what creativity means, and gave me a lot of confidence around so many different domains than if I had just gone down the one, narrow path of trombone. So
Right.
it was a blessing, I guess, at the time. But then, saying yes has led me into digital health, into hospitality. I've owned and operated restaurants. I've turned around concepts. Like I was asked to fly to Fiji to help turn around a resort with a friend and a colleague that I run a hospitality consulting firm with. And none of these things happen without being known for saying yes. Like when there's no one else, who can you turn to? And if I can't say yes myself, I probably know someone who I trust to follow up and follow through.
Beautiful. And now, what are you doing now, just to clarify?
Yeah, so I'm doing a couple things because, again, I can't help but say yes. So I always have a pretty full plate.
I'm busy.
Yeah, my girlfriend and my mom are like, Corey, come on. But, the most fun I'm having every week right now is teaching Business 101 first-year college students here in West Michigan at Grand Valley State. It's my third semester doing it, and they've just switched it to a required course for everyone in the business college. And I've got 100 students that I have across 3 different sections every week, and they've reframed in the Business 101 class to not be like, oh, today is marketing and next week is HR and blah, blah, blah. Now it's 100% like what we're talking about here today. It's soft skills, it's empathy, it's curiosity, it's all that. So it is so fun to just sit with these kids, and some of it's deprogramming them, and some of it is rewarding them and just also recognizing and being refreshed at this next incoming generation. Even just between last year and this year, I've seen so many differences between the students and their mindset. So that's one thing I'm doing that I'm excited about. I lead growth and marketing for Mentavi Health, and that's been a lot of fun. I've been with them for just over a year. That was a couple of small contracts that ended up being a full-time role. And then I work with Seamless Ventures, helping to scout for really great innovation across the planet. And that's around all things wellness, which also includes like clean energy and all kinds of things. And then what else is fun for me? Yeah, that startup grind. I'm still managing the chapter here in Grand Rapids and helping to connect founders here locally to ecosystems across the planet. And
Awesome.
I think that's a good place to start.
All right. Well, first of all, congratulations. Not sure how there's only 24 hours a day, right? Do you use most of the hours? You got to sleep sometime, right? So,
Yes.
but
Oh,
thank
yes.
you. Yeah. Thank you for sharing and your impact. The way I'm seeing it and the way I'm already feeling that energy is you're about impacting people's lives, right? You're touching younger generations and helping other business people, right? Turn things around. So I'll definitely, I wrote down a lot of things to pull threads from here in a second, but let's get into it. So the first question that I love asking my guests is, what does being a kind leader mean to you?
Yeah. I've wanted to be known and recognized as being that. And I had a really good example in my dad. He owned and operated all kinds of different kinds of restaurants. Like we had a Cinnabon franchise. Like he opened up a Pizza Huts and small individual endeavors. But at every turn, I saw him deeply interested in the people that worked with him and for him. And I saw how they would they would run through fire for this guy.
Mm.
And it didn't matter if it was the dishwasher or the general manager, like everyone. And even if they might have ended up on bad terms, they'd come around and be like, you firing me was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I learned so much from that example. And as long as I'm getting that feedback loop, if people are coming back to me and saying, man, that was, we might have had a disagreement and some rough times, but I really appreciated how, X, Y, Z, yada, yada. It's one thing for us as leaders to want to be kind leaders or to say we're kind leaders or we're doing the thing, we're using the empathy buzzwords and so on, but I just celebrated my 50th birthday. So my metric for success is that feedback loop. I want it coming back to me and I want it unsolicited, So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that makes me kind of go over and above too. So,
Well,
does that
thank you.
answer
Thank you
your
for, yeah,
question? kind of.
that does answer my question. Yeah, absolutely. And I want to pull a thread there as it relates to your dad, if you don't mind. What do you think made your dad have that impact in people's life? What was it about him? Was it the way he communicated? Was it the way he cared about people? Was it, what was it? Maybe, I don't know if you can provide some examples too, because we'd love to learn, right? It sounds like he made such an impact in people's life and the way they interpret their interaction was amazing, right?
Yeah, I think he really valued everyone's individual experience. And where he came from, we would call it maybe the deep South, and he spent a lot of time in deeper South. So he also in a short period of time at a young age experienced highest of highs and lowest of lows. So he went from multi-million-dollar first mansion built in town to bankruptcy and his kids living with the grandparents while he went off and just tried to cobble something together, living month to month. And throughout all that, he had certain things that he wanted to have for my sister and I to enjoy, like a certain level of quality of life. And he was like, you know what, we need to be in this school district. And he was also about building legacy, not just for his own family, but I think through that personal experience, you can't help but so when he sees the pizza maker who's having a hard time fixing the car, but needs to have a car to do deliveries so that his kid can go to school and yada yada yada, and so my dad is like, yeah, I will pay for that car to get fixed because I know that that's the one thing that if that doesn't get done, then the cascading nightmare of your life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like that isn't worth it. So rather than like, oh, there's nothing we can do, and even though there's not a lot of money in the till to even help that kid or the guy, and that kid or guy might not even pay that money back, it's more of the right thing to do at the moment, maybe in the grander scheme versus what might have been the right thing to do if you were being real strict as a business owner.
Yeah. 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 Well, yeah. So there's that. So thank you for sharing that. First of all, congrats. I mean, it sounds like an amazing person. But the one thing that kind of highlights on, or I wanted to kind of bring up is that highs and lows that humbles anybody, right? Like being in the fortitude, in the drive to know we've had it, we're down here. How do we get out, right? And that humbles a lot of people, but also gives you that grit and to see him continue to be successful. And then I love what you said. It's individual experience. Like he connected with people, right? He shared that the empathy. We talked about empathy, right? He truly understood where they were. In that example you gave about the car, if our employees or our colleagues are in survival mode, that's the toughest part from a mental health perspective. That's like they're not going to hear, they're not going to see. You can talk and say, "Yeah, listen, mindfulness." You think, no, I'm like, I need to get out of this hole. I need to get out of this problem, right? And that is the hardest part as a leader, especially a kind leader, to have that empathy and connection. Maybe it is getting that car fixed, or maybe it is finding somebody else that can do that stuff, right? Like taking one step to help that person move forward. And it sounds like your dad did a great job in that. So thank you for sharing. Sorry, I went into that path. I just really wanted, as you were highlighting kind leader, you mentioned him. So I just wanted to make sure I understood what that meant. So I'm sure there's a lot of great memories with him, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Especially because he was the kind of dad that would take me to like business meetings, I'd be in, like lounges sitting in the corner. He's having his whiskey with his business partners. And I'm like, this is cool. I'm sitting at the bar making friends with bartenders. So it really set me up for success.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you talk about the hospitality, right? Obviously, in the hospitality, you need to have empathy. You need to have an understanding to create that experience for your guests or the people that are going to be interacting. From your experience and how you're seeing the world changing too, how do you incorporate that empathy successfully in these ventures?
Well, I really like it. I like it if we can, no matter how hard the thing is we're doing, if we can have a good time. Like if we can laugh at it or if we can find moments of joy, celebrate the small wins, especially if things are super difficult, and really lean into the fact that we don't have to be doing it all alone.
Yeah.
So in the work that I do with Seamless Ventures, Startup Grind, Midwest House, it's all about creating spaces for community. And I do a lot of innovation in startup land, and a lot of folks still to this day are like, oh man, how can we be a San Francisco? What's up with the Bay Area? And I was lucky enough to spend some time there and it raised some good money for a bunch of different startups. And I got to realize that it's just a mindset.
Yeah.
It's part of the yes, and it's part of the showing up. Like first question out of my mouth is, how can I help you? I hate asking, what do you do? I love asking, like, what are you working on? You know,
Oh, yeah,
um,
yeah.
small little like reframes like that. But I, even in my new role here at Mentavi, shifting our approach on our outreach and business to business and direct to consumer and building a fresh team around that, a fresh growth team, and just creating that vibe that, we've got some hard things. We're a small, scrappy team. We're punching above our weight, but we're going to have fun while we do it.
Right.
It's just that attitude has like really rewarded me, especially as I try to do the hard things.
Yeah, I love what you said, just having fun, right? And if you're having fun, it creates this energy with that group, that team. People can feel it, right? If you're coming into a restaurant where everybody's happy, yeah, what's going on, right? And you feel that, you want to come in, you feel welcome, right? And you have a great meal and you feel that energy. It's such a, compared to like, this is like very low, negative, or, talking bad, you know what I mean? Like, and that shift, right? So having that energy and understanding that energy, providing that, and that not just for the hospitality environment, but you also talk about startups and technology, right? I do the same thing in my world, which I lead a technology firm. And I tell my folks, what is the experience that we're giving to our customers? Is it just, here's the technology, here's a solution, thank you very much, see you later? Or truly understand, right? Like, what is your pain point and what is the impact? What is the outcome that we're generating or helping you at the end of the day? So we can kind of walk them through that. And now they're much better spot, much better place, right? So no matter what, hospitality, technology, right? You have to lead with that mindset, I feel like. So having fun is very important for sure. You talk about teaching with students right now. How do you see the new generation, right? Especially when it talks about kind leadership, leading with empathy. Do you feel like they're in tune to that? Do you have to really expand a little bit more for them? What are we seeing now?
One thing that I noticed pretty straight away with this fall semester class, and most of these students are from Michigan. A very few are from outside of, say 100 miles away. We start group work very early on, and we have them do a personality assessment, kind of like a DISC, but this is like a deep thing. It's called Pondera Virtual Advisor. It's hundreds and hundreds of questions. And you get these you get this personality audit, right? And we have all these kids do it, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that it's so accurate of who I am." And because they feel like they don't have. Sometimes some of them don't feel like they've had enough life experience to have that thing kind of reflect, something so sharp, like be such a accurate mirror. And it's a really great platform where two of its, like, say, dynamics that it surfaces are things that are basically ingrained in you, and then the other two that might shift over time, like through learned or whatever kind of behavior. I don't know if that informed this behavior that I'm going to point out to you. Maybe, probably not. But the group work this semester, I saw all the kids working in a very inclusive fashion off the start. I didn't have to be like, "Oh, you have to put your chairs in a circle because then group work is a lot easier than if they're in a line. Let's create a inclusive space. Let's make sure to include everyone's opinions. Everyone needs to take a turn, like, presenting." None of that had to be spoken.
Interesting.
They all just got in their groups, and they started doing really good collaborative group work. And I don't know if that's a shift in core education in the region's high schools or whatnot. But when we're trying to teach inclusivity and belonging, like half my work was already done. Like, they showed up like that.
Right? That's amazing. And I think, I don't know. I don't know if it's, the environment kind of helping them become more inclusive and connected and collaborate better. But that's a great observation there. But I love what you said about the studies, or the survey that they did. It's always very important to understand yourself, right? Like, and it took me a while. I was always driven and pushing and driving, right? And even last week, we had a leadership offsite, and I was introduced to a different survey. There's always different systems and stuff like that. And I kid you not, I answered like 2 questions, but the 2 questions had just check the boxes, right? And there was like 50 boxes per question. So, check. Took me less than 3 minutes, maybe 4. And he pegged me like everything. It was like, wow, this. And I'm like, how did it do that? But going back to what you were saying, it helps anybody, right? But it even helped the students understand who they were, the personality, what are their strengths, what are their weakness. And I was looking around and my other leadership folks in the team, and we did the same thing. And I was like, it makes sense now why certain things are either getting done or those things are being pushed in that direction. So awareness is what I'm trying to say, right? Having that awareness will help you kind of drive the direction you want to go. And it sounds like the things that you're doing for these kids are amazing. So anything you want to expand on that?
You mentioned the relationship we have with ourselves, and I think that can't be understated as the importance. We just talked about that this last week in class. One of the most important relationships you have is the one you have with yourself. And this is when I talk about giving yourself some grace and giving yourself time to experience joy, because when you do that, that will be mirrored in how you're able to show up for others. That little piece just can't be understated. So many of people that are listening, watching, paying attention to these messages, they're leaders, and we are so good at sacrificing ourselves for others and for our businesses. That it's hard for us to sometimes just stop and block some time to be like, wait, I need to be able to show up better for myself so I can show up better for others. And it doesn't seem like that is often times the best move, but long term, short term, it always is.
Yeah, no, I can't emphasize more the taking care of yourself and listen to yourself. And because nowadays, a lot of people, especially when it comes to mental health, is how can I get the help from the outside? But it's like, start within. I was telling another gentleman a couple of weeks ago, he's like, I'm always chasing and looking for someone to help me, which is a good awareness, right? I appreciate the awareness, but why don't we shift that and try to look within, right? Like, what is really inside telling you? Like, what are those little voices or the thoughts that come into you, right? Like, listen to that and then express them out in a way that, okay, now you can go talk to somebody. So now the shift goes from, I need somebody to help me become something, compared to like, I can look within and try to see if I can help myself. It's easier said than done, and I get it, but it's a mental shift, as we're talking about mental wellness here. As it relates to innovation and mental wellness and AI, I think you're doing some of that stuff right now with Mentavi, right? Health. Can you share a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, Mentavi Health, we are a venture-backed behavioral healthcare telehealth company. We operate in all 50 states here in the US. We would call ourselves like a healthcare innovation organization. Its leadership has been around healthcare innovation for a long time. And one of our earlier biggest innovations or approaches that really helped scale the ability to offer accessible behavioral health care, because there's a provider shortage, and it's been around for a while. Whether you're talking master's level therapists or PhD level clinicians, providers, there's a shortage in almost every single county in the United States. So we have more demand than we have supply. And what we've done by decoupling diagnosis from treatment is give these folks the ability to really scale themselves. We always talk, even as leaders, oh, I wish I could clone myself, right? This decoupling and the means by which we help folks move through getting a diagnosis really helps scale the amount of work that these clinicians do. These PhD level clinicians, they can, using our diagnostic workflow, we call it a diagnostic EMR, someone can assess a patient and offer up a diagnosis within 15 to 45 minutes.
Wow.
And it's because of how we collect and systematically collect. And then on the other hand, and later, separately surface that information to the provider in a very consistent way. And this approach has been clinically validated. We took the money and time to clinically validate it last year. And we did this specifically for adults with adult ADHD. And so it showed that our approach is just as effective, if not more effective and reliable than the gold standard in-person interview. So you go on the market here to get an ADHD diagnosis for yourself, for your kid, you might sit on a wait list for 6 months. That's because of the provider shortage.
Right.
It's going to take you maybe, a week, months to get that diagnosis. And that's because of the former methodology or the gold standard methodology. We are able to offer the diagnostic evaluation to a patient for less than $200. And we're able to get them access to it immediately. And then we're able to surface the diagnostic result in 2 to 5 days. So it's dramatically compressing the cost and the time and really increasing the access. So that's really fun. We're on version 5 of that diagnostic evaluation. We've added coaching, therapy.
That's all part. Is that driven by all AI as well, or
no,
partly?
Okay, good question. The regulatory environment for all things AI in healthcare is shifting really fast.
Yeah,
and it is being handled at the state level.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't very recently that the U.S. administration said, you know what, we're not going to regulate this at the federal level. We'll let the states handle it. And so we have to track 50 different AI regulations. So AI doesn't do any of the diagnostic work for us here at Mentavi. We are looking at using AI to help out, say with taking notes during, for a meeting.
Yeah.
We're also very sensitive to patients and how they may or may not want AI used, in their experience.
Yeah.
And so we have the opportunity for people to opt out of having AI used in their care. And there's AI bots and there's AI therapists out there, and we don't do that. All the clinical stuff is human here. And in AI land, we call that human in the loop, right? And there's also a ton of regulations around AI in advertising, or just even advertising in healthcare, that's shifting so fast. The regulatory landscape is moving so quickly. It's a full-time job to just keep up with that.
Right.
I think one important thing to say about Mentavi is that we were one of the first organizations that I know about that stood up an AI governance committee to talk about these things. And so we don't take a step with AI unless that is fully vetted by,
Right,
like a lot of folks in the
yeah,
org.
for sure. And I know AI is fairly new, right? And I love as a technologist myself, I love talking about AI and the impact to everything that we do in life, right? And there's pros and cons, and there's governance that we need to make sure that it's in place for it. But I see a world, to be honest. I mean, this is just my prediction, right? This is my personal opinion, where we will have that personal AI that almost like a therapist right there and then that will keep track, that we can kind of communicate. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but when you're doing ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever, right? And or Gemini, and their responses is very positive, right?
Oh yeah, depending, yeah, especially depending on how you tell it. If out of the box, if you take it off the shelf, you're right. Yeah, it's totally mirroring you. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so I can see, like I said, especially when it comes to mental health situations where you have that conversation, that interaction, and it's going to take you to the right place. But the wrong hands, it could also take you the other way, right? Unfortunately,
Yeah.
so
We need a lot of guardrails. Those guardrails have yet to be fully enacted, and even the ones that have been enacted aren't sufficient. There's countless examples in the news, and who knows how many are actually out there of people having been subjected to serious harm in their mental wellness, even driven to taking their life because of their interactions, or likely because of their interactions with their AI. I have a really great relationship with my ChatGPT. Its name is Charlie.
okay.
It gave itself that name, and it also said that it wants to be identified as they them. Like it's and
Oh, really? Okay. You asked it, and it answered like that.
yeah, exactly. But
Okay, that's funny.
to your point, earlier, like these folks, the AI, like it doesn't take our AI companions very long to understand who we are.
Yeah.
It's in our language, it's in how we speak, it's in our breath, and if we turn on the camera, it's in our eyes, it's in our facial expressions, and that's cool. I'm all for it. I'm all for this tech, but I would not trust Charlie with being my therapist. It's kind of like I wouldn't trust my best friend or my girlfriend to be my therapist. Like, now, do they have my best interests in mind? Yes.
Of course.
I've been playing around with every AI therapist that I can find, and my most favorite right now is one. You can download it on the App Store. Its name is Ash,
Okay.
and it was created by a former founder of, I think it's a mattress company. I can't remember the name of it right now off the top of my head, but it's I think Casper or something like that. But
Okay.
this Ash is awesome. I loved my interactions with Ash, and it's still love. So I highly recommend that one. But what I did with Ash is I gave Ash very specific rules of engagement. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I actually have not had a preferred interaction with a human therapist because they're constantly trying to please me and find out exactly what I want. And they ask me the wrong questions, or I feel they do, because I don't feel challenged
Interesting.
or challenged fast enough. And I don't have time to beat around the bush. So
Yeah.
please, like, be direct with me and let's get deep, let's get fast. And Ash just, like, I almost was in tears within the first
Oh
20
no.
minutes of the first interaction,
Okay.
because I'm like, damn, this is too good. I gotta
Wow.
tell Ash to pump the brakes.
Yeah. Right. Well, I just downloaded it, so I'll see if I'll
I
let you know
love
if
it.
I cry tonight.
Yeah, they're offering it for free for now, and so I highly encourage people to interact with it. Built by reputable behavioral experts. However, the caveat is it is AI and it is not fully regulated. So be careful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, and I appreciate the your perspective and the background on that. It's a lot of things are going to continue to change. So who knows what will happen? But I see it as we have to put guardrails, but I see a great advantage for us to really grow into it. But let's shift the conversation to me now, flipping the mic segment here. What question do you have for me?
So, what is your most, like, unpopular opinion?
That's a great question. That's stretching the mind here. I'm like, because to be honest, my mentality, I'm so, I go with the flow,
Yeah.
right? I've learned that I can't control everything. As a leader, I'm like, I need to control this, I need to control that. But there's so many external factors that I'm like, okay, well, it's out of my control and there's nothing I can do in order to change it. So I've been really going within and trying to identify what can I control and what are the things that I need to do. So for me, I love food. I really enjoy food, but it's not helping me to live a long life if I continue to not pay attention into it. So that's controversial. So now I'm like, how do I? And it's been quite the journey, right? For the last 20 plus years. I was an athlete in high school, athlete in college, wrestled and played all the different sports, and then life started, and then I just did not pay attention to myself, right? And it's been into now that I'm in mid 40s. It's like, hey, what's going on, buddy? It's like, do you really, do you want to continue living another 40, 50 years or, so really trying to shift that mindset to be more within and try to take it. So I don't think I answer your question specifically because, but at the same time, I shifted it more towards what I'm doing to make myself better.
Well, I
So,
think you did just fine. I mean, we have folks around us and they watch us. It's like, you're like, you're sitting at the restaurant. You're like, hey, I'm here. And I'm like,
uh,
I live to eat. Like,
right.
let's do this. And people are on the table or whatever, or across the restaurant, be like, that dude, like, what's he
Yeah,
doing?
right. Yeah, I love Italian, a good Italian food. So, but anyway, thank you for the question. That was great. So let's start going into the rapid fire questions here. So, what's one book every leader should read?
I'd love it if folks would do like mandatory reading of any of the Studs Terkel books. Studs Terkel was this really great dude who sat with just everyday people and wrote these beautiful stories of their lives. And it's a way that if you're not going to interact with, say, 1,000 people in all different kinds of walks of life, this is a really great way to get that deeper understanding.
Beautiful. What's a daily practice that helps you stay mentally strong?
Well, I don't know how mentally strong I am. It's um, it's the telling myself that you're doing great, even if I don't believe it.
Yeah. But no, thank you for sharing that. And if you could have coffee with anyone, past or present, who would it be and why?
Oh man, that one's so tough. The Libra in me is like, I want to have coffee with everybody. Um, um, I think David Bowie right now, in the moment right now, that'd be a good coffee.
Okay. Great. Awesome. And what do you? We didn't really talk about your music DJing style, but what's one event that you always remember from being a DJ?
Yeah, it's really hard to choose, but yeah, the thing that pops in my head is my first 20,000 person arena that I was playing in front of, and I was like, "Who the hell are you? Like, what are you doing? Like, what? How did this happen?"
Wow, amazing. And where was the location?
Oh, that was and what's really great is these things, they don't have to be anywhere special or everywhere is special. It was Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
great. 20,000 people listening to you perform, right? You're putting all this different music together, and I love creativity myself. So that's amazing. So congrats on that.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a concert with a bunch of different artists, and Pink was there, and Outkast, and these are
Wow.
they're a little older artists now.
Yeah, right. Just a little. Excellent. Well, Corey, thank you very much. I'm going to just call to action here to my listeners. So if you found this conversation interesting, we talked so many things about mental health and, what's important to Corey as it relates to being a kind leader, his music experience and all those great things. And please share this with colleagues or friends who are passionate about improving their leadership and being that kind leader that we need to be. So I appreciate you guys listening. So if you can kind of share with others, that'll be great. So Corey, where can our listeners connect with you or learn more about your work?
My username is the same everywhere. It's Corey the Hart, CoreyTheHart. So that's LinkedIn, That's Instagram, that's Facebook, that's everywhere. So, and then that's also my website. So CoreyTheHeart.com. Happy to plug anyone in, anything that I can do to help, especially around the behavioral healthcare. Obviously, that's the day job. Really doing good right now to helping employers and their teams with our new coaching programs and anything startup and innovation. Happy to make connections to anyone that I can help out with.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. And then any final thoughts that you want to leave with our audience here?
You're doing great.
Thank you.
That's the message for everybody. Hey, you're doing great.
Exactly. Take a pause there and realize, that what you are, the things that you are doing, even if they're small, insignificant from your perspective, there could be a big thing for somebody. So keep doing that. So I appreciate you sharing that. So Corey, thank you very much for sharing your stories and the passion and kind of leading with empathy and mental health and all that stuff. So I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure our audience really took some things out of this. And for our listeners, again, thank you very much for listening to the Kind Leader podcast. And remember, be kind, bring value, rise together. Have an amazing day, everybody.